Hello everybody, I'm Miss Teacher Nick here from LTN Education, Learn with Teacher Nick, Education for Innovation. Alright, today we're going to be solving an equation which involves fractions. I'm going to try here and show you a simpler method of dealing with fractions. Okay, the simple method here is, you look at the denominator, you multiply everything by that denominator. Okay, let's have a look here. So I'm going to rewrite this and change the mixed number into an improper fraction first. So I'm going to go and say 1 over 7 into t minus 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1, it's 9. So that one is the same as 9 over 4. So this is very important. And then this is equal to negative 1 over 8. Okay. Now, very important to remember that this here is one term. All right, this is one term. If there is a bracket and there is a fraction or a number outside, this is one term. But if we remove the bracket, then this would be two terms. Remember, terms are separated by a plus or a minus. All right, so brackets do not make terms. So this whole thing is one term. Just remember that. All right, so I have a fraction there which is 1 over 7, and I have a fraction which is 9 over 4. I have a fraction which is negative 1 over 8. I don't have access to 1 over 4 at the moment because there is a bracket. So let me start by removing 1 over 7. Very simple. If you have a fraction like 1 over 7, you just need to look at the denominator. What is the denominator there? It's 7. Then I'm going to multiply by 7. So 7 will take out 7, so the answer here is 1. How does 7 take out 7? This is a shortcut to say they are taking each other out. But this is how it actually happens. This is 1 over 7 times 7. Remember, below 7 there is 1. So 1 times 7 is what? It's 7. 7 times 1 is what? It's 7. 7 over 7 is what? Is 1. So you can also use your calculator to verify this and go and say 7, this is going to be 1 over 7 multiplied by 7. This will give you 1. Same thing applies if you have a fraction like 2 over 3. To remove this fraction, to make it disappear, you multiply all the terms by 3 over 2. You see what I did? I flipped the fraction around. So I multiply everything by 3 over 2. So how does that happen? This will be equal to 1 as well, because 2 times 3 is going to give you 6. 3 times 2 is going to give you 6 as well. 6 divided by 6 is 1. And you can also use a calculator here to verify my story. So if you go and say 2 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 2, this gives you 1. So this is how you get rid of these fractions. But if you get a fraction that is like 2 over 3, you want to remove it completely. Or you want to just remove the denominator. Just multiply everything by the denominator. Okay, so this one you can multiply it by 3 over 2. But if you like, you can also multiply this by 3. If it's an equation, you can multiply by 3 both sides of the equation. Look what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to take all of this off. So now I'm going to multiply. Remember, this is one term. So I'm going to multiply this term by 7. This is mathematically correct. I'm going to change this now to that. So if I multiply this side by 7 and also multiply this side by 7, what's going to happen here? The 7 will take out this fraction. So that means on the left hand side I'm left with what? T minus 9 over 4 equal to. On the other side, this 7 will multiply the 1. Why is that? Because remember we have a 1 below the 7. So it's going to be 1 times 7. And always try to keep the negative, if there's a negative sign, always try to put it on the numerator. So this is going to be negative 1 times 7 is going to be negative 7. but the negative belongs to the 1 and the 8, okay? So this is the same thing. And then 8, so this was 1 times 7, which gives us that, and then 8 times 1 is going to be 8. Okay? Now you are down to how many fractions? You are down to 2 fractions. Okay, you can decide which one you want to start with. Because I want to isolate the variable, I'm going to start on the side where there is a variable. What's the denominator there? I have 9 over 4. 4 is the denominator. So what am I going to do? I'll multiply this by 4. I'll multiply this by 4. You can use your calculator to verify what I'm doing. Okay? So what's going to happen here? 4 will take out 4 and also multiply this one by 4. You multiply everything by 4. So what are we going to have now? We are going to have now 40 minus 4 will take out 4, so that means here we are left with 9 equal to, and then 4 times negative 7, this is going to give us negative 28. So we have now negative 28 all over 8. Now we have one fraction. What is the denominator of this fraction? It is 8. I'm going to multiply everything by 8. So I'm going to go and say, multiply this by 8, multiply this by 8, multiply this by 8. Okay? Remember to keep the negatives there on the numerator. This will help you in a big way. So, now what's going to happen here? So this is going to be 4 times, it's going to be 4 times 8, which is going to give you 32. So that means here we have now 32t minus 9 times 8. We're going to use the calculator for that one. So 9 times 8, that gives us 72. So we got 72 here equal to, and then here, what's going to happen? 8 would take out 8. So that means what are we left with that side? Don't I use this color here? That means I'm left with negative 28. And there are no longer any fractions here. We don't have any fractions here anymore. All right? So what's the next thing that we can do? I'm going to move this up a little bit. Now that I no longer have any fractions, I can work this out now. I can go and say I'm going to move the term that does not have a variable to the other side. So I'm going to move which term? You're right, 72. So 72 is positive here. It's negative here, sorry. So I'm going to move 72 to that side, and then it's going to be negative. Of course, this is a shortcut. If you want to use the longer method, you can apply the additive inverse here. You can add 72 both sides, so that minus 72 plus 72 would give you 0. But the simplest way is to say, I'm going to move 72 to the other side. If it's negative here on the left, it means it's going to be positive on the right. So that means now we have, now on the left-hand side, we're now left with 32t, which is equal to minus 28 plus 72. All right? Very important to notice that the sign has changed because we have switched the sides. All right? And minus 28 plus 72 is the same as subtracting and taking the sign of the bigger number. So that means here we're going to put down 32t, which is equal to, and then you can use a calculator if you want, just say 72 minus 28, or you can write it as it is if you want. So this is subtraction and taking the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number, or the number with a bigger absolute value, is 72. So if you put this as it is, this would be negative 28 plus 72, which will give you a positive answer of 44. So that means on the right hand side now, I have 44. On the left hand side, I have 32t, which is the same as 32 times t. So to remove the 32, I need to apply the inverse of this, which is what? Division. So t is being multiplied by 32. I'm now going to divide by 32. But now, to balance the equation, I need to divide on both sides. So that means I'm going to go and say, divide this side by 32, divide this side by 32, and then 32 divided by 32, I like using different colors when I do this. So 32 divided by 32 is going to give me 1. So I'm left with 1t here. Let me just move my board up a little bit. So that means I'm left with 1t. We don't usually write the 1, it's there, just invisible, and then equal to 44 over 32. You can simplify this, and if it is a mixed number, so it's entirely up to you. If you have a casual, the casual calculator can simplify this for you with ease, the scientific one. But anyway, how many 32s can you find in a 44? Oh, well, I can only find 1. And if I remove 132 from the 44, what am I going to be left with? 12? Let's see. 44 minus 32, I'm going to be left with, yes, I'm going to be left with 12. So this is 12 out of 32. Obviously, you can still simplify this further, or you could have used the highest common factor to divide both sides. Find the highest common factor to divide both sides. And in this case, the highest common factor will be 4. All right? And you can still use that highest common factor here. You can still use that highest common factor here, or you could have used it above there. If we use the highest common factor, we don't want to leave our answer like this. We can go and say, I'm going to remove this part. You can go and actually just say, okay, so here I'm left with t equal to, so the highest common factor that I think exists here will be 4. So I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 4. So 44 divided by 4 is going to give me 11. And then 32 divided by 4 is going to give me 8. And then as a mixed number, if you have an improper fraction, always leave it as a mixed number. So as a mixed number, this would be 1. How many 8 in 11? There's 1. And what are you left with? If I remove that 8 there, I'm going to be left with what? 3 over 8. So if I say 1 times 8, it's going to give me 8. 8 plus 3 is give me 11. So it's 11 over 8. Remember, I'm sure you might be wondering, maybe the previous answer was incorrect. Now it was actually correct. Because remember, previously I said I had 8t equal to, I said there's 132 in a 44, and then you'll be left with 12 over 32. This can still be simplified further. You can divide the numerator and the denominator by 4. So if I divide the numerator there, which is 4, if I divide that one by 4, and also divide here by 4, that is my highest common factor, then I'm going to have t equal to 1, and 12 divided by 4, that actually gives me 3. And then 32 divided by 4 will give you 8. So this is one and the same thing. And we can prove that with the calculator as well. So if you go and say, let's start here. If you go and say 44 all over 32, you see, you get 11 over 8. And as a mixed number, 1 and 3 over 8. As a decimal, 1.375. Okay? So 11 over 8, 1.375 is the same, and this is the same as 1 and 3 over 8. This is also the same thing. You see, if I can go and put that number there as it is, shift fraction symbol, and I say 1, and then I put 12 over 32. This is what I'm going to get. So this here is the same as 11 over 8 as well. If you simplify it further, and as a decimal, you see. So this is the method I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that it does help you out. Let me just move it nicely in the frame. So this is it. Please do practice. And should you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. Just don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share the link with your friends. Tell them about the channel, let them subscribe, and let's get learning. Thank you very much.